Hi, my name is Vicky Mancini, and I am the Employment Sports Manager for Gateway Association. And today I'm presenting on leadership. This is part one of a series. Leadership 1 offers the tools and tips for self awareness around skills, strengths, and career interests. So, what we're going to talk about today is leadership, a little bit about leadership, self awareness, visionings, and tools of leaders. So, everyone is a leader. Leadership is the capacity to motivate others through shared vision and goals to navigate change. Now, Kouses and Pozner are leaders in the field of education around leadership, and what they say is self-awareness is the predicator for success in leadership. What our values, strengths, skills, and barriers are help us to become strong leaders. When we can understand these things about ourselves, then we'll have the ability to motivate others and to formulate and reach shared visions and goals. We can align our visions with those of others when we understand our values and the values of others. The very best leaders inspire others with a clear vision of change. In the case of employment for people with intellectual disabilities, we want to share a vision of belonging and inclusive work environments. Did you know that geese, when they fly south or north, they fly in that V, and there's always one goose at the head of the V. But did you know that when that leader gets tired or isn't feeling well or whatever, somebody else automatically takes the lead? Each goose in that V has an opportunity to lead at one point or another. We're the same. We all have that opportunity to lead at one time or another. We need leaders. It's up to us now. It's not just the global leaders, but local leaders, individual leaders. We can lead people to create positive changes locally that make life easier and more sustainable, that create possibility in the midst of global decline. Let us use whatever power and influence we have, working with whatever resources we already have, to mobilize people who are with us to work for what we care about. Leadership is quite simply the art of motivating a group of people act towards achieving a common goal. We all know examples of leaders such as Mother Teresa, Princess Diane, Justin Trudeau, Barack Obama, and others. But I believe that we don't have to be big names to be leaders. Sometimes it's the little things that we do that make us leaders. Think about somebody you consider a leader and why. Where have they led the way? Was it in big ways or was it in small ways? Maybe it was just taking the opportunity to lead a project or to influence somebody on how the project should go. So Rosa Parks was a leader, and because of the color of her skin, the law stated that she had to sit at the back of the bus. She refused. That was the beginning of a huge human rights movement. While at Royal Roads, I ran over one of my cohort's feet because the instruction room was so crowded with junk. I started by just asking the instructor what we could do about the room. How could we maximize the space and get rid of non-essentials in the room? Next, I began a letter writing campaign to the leader of Royal Roads to ask for better accommodation. We cleared out all the junk in the room, we made more space, and the head of Royal Roads came to our room to talk to us all. From this little bit of leadership, I got the nickname Vicky Parks. In an internet search that I did, some names of leaders. Rick Viscola, security director of a company like Morgan and Stanley. And what did he do to inspire? Asked thousands of people who owned their lives. Thanks to Rick Viscola, 2,700 Morgan Stanley employees working at the World Trade Center escaped the collapse during the 9/11 attacks. The drills he designed and trained them in saved all but 6 of his colleagues. Jackie Adams was a 55-year-old transgendered woman. Adams was abused and neglected through her child, only made her stronger. She learned her lessons and took up advocacy for others after being diagnosed with HIV in 1983. Victoria Brander. Victoria Brander dedicated her life to other people. In 2003, she founded the nonprofit organization called Operation Walk Chicago to help impoverished patients worldwide. Her mission was selling physicians, patients who were financially well off, donated towards the cost of treating others. So those are some small examples of people doing great things, inspiring great movements by doing a couple of small things. And it ended up being huge. And we just never know. We never know the impact we make on people, and we never know what one small step will lead. It takes self-awareness, the conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. Awareness is crucial in supporting a leader to determine what is needed at the time, what skills, strengths, values the leader personally has to bring to the table, and what actions will be necessary. Who will support the actions, and what support is needed. Again, Kouses and Pozner says developing leadership is developing self. So how do you develop yourself? How do you get to know yourself more? Tools that you can use. One of them that I use is the Myers-Briggs Traits Inventory. It is a self-report inventory designed to identify a person's personality type, strengths, and preferences. The questionnaire was developed by Isabel Myers and her mother, Catherine Briggs, based on the work of Carl Jung's theory of personality types. It identifies 16 personality types, and for each type gives a brief description and strength of the characteristics of that type. It divides personalities into 4 dichotomies: extroversion and introversion, sensing, intuition, thinking and feeling, judging and perceiving. A combination of these 4 helps one determine personality traits that can help you understand who you are and why you react the way you do. I've attached the website. It's here, www.humanmetrics.com, if you'd like to find out what your type is. If you're going to do this inventory, don't struggle over the answers. Just choose the first one that you feel suits you best. And it's best that you don't ask someone else to do your inventory for you. Do it yourself, because you know yourself better than anyone else. Another trait of good leaders, strong leaders, is vision. So leaders are visionary, and vision will help you become clear on what action steps you need to take, what support you might need, where you can find that support, and who that support will be. What's your vision? Where is it you want to go, and what do you want to do in this world? Many people come to us and they want us to help them get a job. They have no idea what kind of a job they want or career they want. Leaders have a vision, an idea of what they want and where and how they can build that common vision with others. Visioning includes long-term goals, where you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, with a clear idea of your purpose and measurable goals to get there and what success will look like when you get there. It may seem overwhelming at first, but remember this is your goal and your vision, and you get to change it whenever you want. Here are 2 assessments or inventories that you can do. One is for basic skills, the other is an interest assessment. Because sometimes job seekers come to us and they just don't know what they want, and they have no experience, no career counseling, and no ideas, and they really feel a sense of loss. So these 2 above assessments can help you determine your interests in some of the skills that you have in order to make some career decisions. It's difficult to have a passion for a career if you have no idea what that might be. That's okay. But maybe it's time to look at some interests, what jazzes you, what gets you up in the morning, and what can translate into a career. And a career isn't the only way you can be a leader. You can be a leader in everyday things. Volunteering, offering your strengths and your gifts. You need to know what those are, right? Work values inventory will help you determine the values, what you value most about employment. And that's attached on this PowerPoint as well. You know what? If you don't know where you're going, then how will you lead the way? And you don't want somebody else to do that for you. If you don't have your own vision, somebody's going to choose one for you. So now that you have an idea of what you want, what are your next steps? It could look like something like this. The long-term goal is to be full-time employed in a career that I love, where I can share my strengths and skills. Short-term, complete the strength profile, determine a career based on interest, skills, and assessments, determine whether more education or employment is necessary, find the resources I need, and find who can help. When we do exploration at Gateway Association with the job seeker, we ask 1.5 million questions, and we ask them to dream big. Because what do you got to lose? Here's some tools for visioning. This is a mind map tool, and here's another one. So mind map tools are really easy to use, and they're fun, and they're creative, and there's many Google apps that you can find. There's Mindly, Google, Miro. All of those are mind maps that you can use to map up what your vision might look like. And remember, this is your vision. You get to change it if you don't want it, if you don't like it. Fill it out the way you want, where you're going. So in leadership, as in life, nothing we accomplish is singular. Again, that's another Kouses and Pozner. I believe, and they share my belief, that everything we do, we're connected to somebody. We need to form those relationships in order to be able to lead, to be able to figure out where we're going. It's so important to have those connections. Who shares your vision? Who will help you get there? And who's going to come along with you? Where are your connections? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you a part of any groups? Do you belong to clubs and organizations? How do you currently contribute to community? What skills, talents, strengths do you have to share with the community? Those are good questions to ask yourself, not only for self-awareness, but visioning and understand what kind of a leader you want to be. Research shows that 80% of jobs are found through personal connections. For career planning, it's important to know who those connections are. As a leader, you want to know who shares your values and your passions. distractions. And who's going to be there for you when you're that lone nut? Here's a video for you to watch at your convenience and tell me, are you that lone nut standing there, or are you the first follower? Leadership sometimes is overglorified. We see it as this big thing, but sometimes, the lone nut maybe starts, but it's the first person that joins that lone nut that's really the leader. Because once somebody sees one person joining, then more will join. So have the courage to be that lone nut, or have the courage sometimes just to follow. Make your path. So if you have any questions, any concerns, any comments, please feel free to send them to us. Here's how you can stay connected. Thank you all so very much for joining me in this presentation today. I look forward to seeing you again.